In this video, I'm going to show you how to render React components based on select drop-down selection. First, let's have a look at a mock-up screen of what we are going to build today. There's a heading starts with the text, "Hello," which shows the selected option, where initially the default option has been selected. The heading, detail and the image gets updated whenever the drop-down value gets changed. Note that I have linked Bootstrap 5 CSS and JavaScript via CDN to index.html file. Alright, now let's dive into the code. I have created a folder named Assets inside the src folder to maintain all the images. Note that in order to upload your images to Code Sandbox you needs to be logged in. Then we have the Components folder, which is also inside the src folder. It includes our three functional components Audi, Benz and Ferrari, which return some basic JSX. Now let's have a look at the Audi component. Audi image has been imported at the top of the file and it has rendered inside the image tag. A width attribute of 60% has been given for better responsiveness and class, rounded, applied to look better. Bootstrap 5 utility classes has been applied for top margins and font size. And also image credits has been rendered inside a span tag. These images were found on Unsplash.com and many thanks for those artists for making them available free. Components Benz and Ferrari follows the same structure as the Audi component. Here's the Benz component. And here's the Ferrari component. Great. Now let's dive into the app.js file to build the basic UI. Here's the heading. Here's the drop-down element. I have added the class container to the wrapper div and the class form select to the select tag. Let's disable the file explorer to get some more space. Now enable the preview mode to see the result so far. Okay, now we are going to build a React controlled component in order to make it functioning. The best explanation for controlled components is there in React official docs. You can find a link in the description to that page. Now let's dive into it. In HTML, form elements such as input, text area and select maintain their own state and updated based on user input. But in React, typically the mutable state kept in the state and only updated with setState method. We can combine these two by making the React state be the single source of truth. A controlled component can be created by connecting the form element to the state by setting its attribute value and the event on change. Now let's see this in action. I have reduced the font size and disabled the preview for clarity. This is where we left off, and let's import useState at the top of the file. Declare a new state variable, which we'll call car. Note that the initial value of the state variable car matches the first option value. Now let's set the value attribute. Since the value attribute is set on our select input, the displayed value will always be car, making the React state the source of truth. With a controlled component, the select input's value is always driven by the React state. Now let's add the handle on change function, which simply sets the state of car, using the setCar method. Now we need to update the heading based on the selection, and for that I'm using the render result function, which returns a string. Let's call this function after the text, hello. The render result function has a local variable named result. The needed output will get assigned based on a JavaScript conditional operator. If the default option is selected, it will set the lowercase text of it. Otherwise it will make use of the utility function make first letter capital to convert the first letter of the value to an uppercase. Now let's see the output again. Great. We are doing perfect. Now we need three state variables of type Boolean to track our three components. Set the initial value to false. Import three components. Let's use conditional rendering to render our components, based on the Boolean state. Here I have used inline if with logical and operator. Therefore, if the condition is true, the element right after logical and operator will appear in the output. If it is false, React will ignore and skip it. Now we need to make use of side effects in React, in order to manually update the DOM element. The effect hook lets you perform side effects in function components. Data fetching, setting up a subscription, and manually changing the DOM in React components are all examples of side effects. Manual DOM mutations don't require a cleanup. Multiple effects can be used more than once to separate concerns. Pass an array as an optional second argument to use effect, to skip applying an effect if certain values haven't changed between re-renders. Now let's see it in action. Import useEffect. Declare the useEffect function and pass the state car within an array to the optional second argument. This way we will be watching all the changes happen to the state car. Then we have used the conditional operator to set the Boolean state of each component based on the value of the state car. Now it's time to test. Great. We made it until the end. Please find a link to this code sandbox project in the description to play around with it. That's all for this video and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.